You join me in my grimoire, my art book, my sketchbook, my magical book, the book that I was scared to start. So I took my own advice and I began with not stressing about what to add, but by taking away. The gesso came out and I began to subtract from the page and to prompt it to start speaking. And it did by keying into a body memory. This downward action of my arm painting between the trees triggered a memory of continually drawing lines in ink, an art process I used to do to dissociate, to keep me safe when everything in my vicinity was unsafe, to drown out cruel voices, to create a bubble of safety around me. Drawing lines was my safety tool. So painting this page and that downward action, it triggered that body memory. And then I looked across into the words, and one word all by itself leaped out. The word haven. Haven, safety. It hadn't taken long for this enchanted book to begin to speak. This a page about safety. So I honoured that memory of times gone by where I was really unsafe, and I went back to my old practice of drawing vertical lines. You can see here how embedded in my muscle memory this act is. My house is full of pages just full of drawn lines. And then I thought about the trees themselves and current safe spaces, like my sacred circle of trees in the middle of the woods. And I honoured a time where I drew with a blade and felt like a void. I paper cut my trees. Sacred circles, circles of trees, the woodland, this a safety spot now. I got out loads of books and began to research sacred circles and how to open sacred circles. That was the research part of this page, and I began to layer it all. Sacred circles, one for each of the elements: air and swords, fire and wands, water and cups, and earth and pentacles. 4 circles in my current practice. From my research, I wrote in different aspects of those 4 elements, ways to call in the corners and the guardians of those elements, what they meant to me. And then I continued making current safe circles, an homage to the woods that I walk through, the oaks of the Dagda in my current spiritual walk. It would seem layering the lines from the old woodland and adding a new woodland was speaking of sacred safe circles through time and place. There was a wood here, a wood of walking through and out of healing. I always imagined healing as a path through the woods. You can't deviate around. To heal, you have to walk through the woods and get to the other side. This was the woods of healing, and joined in were the words of my new spiritual sacred safe circle, available to me at any time to open with magic words. This was a layering of my safety over time and circumstance. The book was truly speaking to me. I thought back to that girl I'd been, so naive and betrayed and gaslit and falling apart to dust. That girl who drew lines to stay safe, to feel safe, and I drew her in. I drew her reaching out for the trees and the power of the wood and the trees seeping into her. It seemed apt that the woman I had been before the veil dropped was included somewhere in this magical, layered woodlands of time and space and magic and healing, now in control of the elements with magic words. She needed to be there, reaching out, touching that magic. She didn't know it yet, but the path through the woods was going to be hell, but on the other side was something way more magical than she could even begin to imagine. Those lines seeping into her as she dissociated within chaos, her journey yet to begin. It seemed apt that she was there, right at the start of the journey through the woods. So my memory of a journey through the woods, a 8-year journey of healing, filled my mind as I drew the dissociating lines getting smaller and smaller, an exit route out of that woodland that I'd walked through in absolute shock. This journey of 8 years depicted here, and I felt sadness for the girl I'd once been, so naive, but joy at the power that comes from a journey through and out. What a journey it had been. So, where to go to next? I turned the page and was shocked I was back at that first tree. In that journey, I'd drawn a series of dolls called 100 Dolls and Me, which had begun with a corpse under a tree in the woods. That was my entry point into the woods, and I knew I was back here. Why was I back at the start of the woods? So I scoured the text for clues. The lying habitat, meeting death duties. The fallow was holding its own. Remnants remain. Remnants remain. What remnants remain? I knew I was still lost in repetitive patterns and safety responses. Was I really out of the woods? I don't think I was. This page was a shocker. So I got my journal out and I wrote down the key words and I began to write. Oh no, it was time to resurrect the ghost that I'd left under the tree, to breathe life back into her, to meet my death duties. The cost of her dying the first time hadn't truly been met. I hadn't totally become unstuck. Remnants of their cruelty remained, colonising areas of my soul. I hadn't met my death duties the first time. I was back for another walk through the woods, but this time with more power. It was time to meet the ghosts under the tree of my healing journey. The ghosts that I thought had just died and I'd recovered from. But the fallow was holding its own, stopping the blooming. There were no flowers under this tree here to be collected. Only lots of dead leaves, falling dramatically as the words said. A remnant of who they once were, and me like leaves. I wasn't truly back yet. I had to draw the ghosts to see what they would tell me. They spoke of the ripples that cruelty can cause, ripples that leave you untrusting and stuck, ripples that leave you isolated and hiding, ripples that will affect families to come, ripples that stop the circle breaking. These were the remnants that remain. They whispered to me to seek out the remnants, to remove them from the water, to stop the ripple effect, to claim waters as my own. And as I glued on extra ghosts under the tree, The glue itself took on form. It was quite magical. I created some paper with holes in it as well to form part of the leaves. This my motherhood paper, another symbol like the lines that has meaning to me in it, symbol and shape. Symbol is where art and magic overlap, I feel. And slowly this next double page spread took shape as an entry point to a new walk through the woods. A walk with more power, yes. A walk as a different person, yes. A walk to look for the remnants that remain under the oaks of the Dagda, knowing that I have everything I need, with the ghosts formed by simply gluing, speaking and whispering, and calling me to look here and there for those missing remnants. This was soul retrieval work in the woods where the power of earth runs deep, where deities speak. Soul retrieval work issued as a portal through art magic. Art magic when you draw and you listen to the enchanted book as you work. So my two first double page spreads turned out to be quite a journey back in time, and then a journey forward, a journey through healing work. Is it ever done? Is it ever done in a life that throws curveballs? I don't know as it is, but this was a joyous, magical time in my art studio, and I just really wanted to share. I hope you found it interesting, and I hope beyond hope that it encourages you to open the pages of enchanted books, to reclaim books, and to listen to the magic story that each page may also whisper to you. There is definite healing to be had in art magic, healing for the past, and also portals waiting to be opened for healing to come, for ways forward, for the next step. This is divination in practice too, not a card deck here, but the pages of a book. I wonder what an enchanted book might whisper to you. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.